Hi, this is Emilie-Claire Barlow, the voice of Courtney on Total Drama Island, and you're watching The Boys podcast. Enjoy.
Thank you. Hi, you must be the other contestants. It's really nice to meet you all.
How's it going? I'm Owen.
Nice to meet you, Oh.
Go, go, Bud!
Are you recording this? Good. They can enjoy their little party all they want. But I'm gonna win this competition, and no one is gonna stop me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Boys Podcast. Today, my guest is an actress, voice actress, singer, she's a jazz singer, arranger, and record producer. You may have heard her voice on some of my favorite shows, such as Bakugan, where she portrayed the character Alice, 16, where she voiced the character Chrissy, Total Drama, where she voiced the characters Courtney, Lori, and Elodie. So welcome, Miss Emilie-Claire Barlow. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. What have you been up to? Like, how are you doing today?
I'm very warm. I'm
Very
currently very warm. I'm currently in Mexico, and it's very hot here. Feeling like we're going to get some rain, which is always very welcome right now. And so, yeah, I'm currently working on some new music. I am doing a bunch of things. Usually I'm wearing several different hats, as they say. So
Nice.
No shortage of fun things going on.
Nice. How's your quarantine? Like anything else before today, or how's life? You know?
Well, it's been a crazy couple of years, as we all know. I had a tour planned for April of 2020, I guess it was, and of course everything got canceled. March of 2020, everything changed, and I haven't really played any shows since then. So that's unusual because normally in my career, starting from when I was really in my early 20s, I've been playing shows pretty much continuously since then. I've never taken this much time away, just like most. I'm in the same situation as most artists. So that's been interesting, but it's actually allowed me to put a little bit more focus on building my record company. We brought on a few more artists, and I've been able to work on helping them with their musical careers, work on some new music. So it's been interesting. I feel extremely lucky that my partner, Steve Webster, who's he's a bass player and multi-instrumentalist and composer. He's also extremely technologically savvy. So even before the pandemic, we were able to travel and continue to do both voice work and recording music with musicians all over the world because of the magic of technology. So, yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Maybe I'll, if you want, maybe in the future, like for a part 2, get you and Steve on, That'd be cool. Talk about music.
Sure.
That'd be cool. Because I love music, so that'd be really cool,
Awesome. Yeah, and he's an amazing musician. He's very versatile. He plays bass, he plays guitar.
Wow.
We have actually a duo project together called Bocana. And Bocana, the name Bocana comes from a beach that's not too far away from here, where we do have a house. We're both from Toronto originally. We also spend a lot of time there. And so, yeah, it's a little bit different from the music that I've done in my jazz career. It's more sort of electronic, pop. It's really cool. So you can check that out. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. But I know we're here to talk about some more cartoon stuff too.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about your music and voice acting. You'll see. You'll like the questions I have come up for you. You'll like them.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then see my quarantine in the beginning, I graduated virtually high school.
That must have been so... Was it hard for you, or did you?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I felt really, I really felt for people who were in their, last year of high school or last year of university and didn't get to have those normal in-person experiences. So that must have been tough.
Yeah, it was like a virtual graduation too. Like we couldn't have like the proper thing of they pass you the diploma or
all of those traditions.
Yeah.
Well, sorry about that, but you made it through, and that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Emily. Okay. Now, what made you want to become a voice actress slash singer? What's your biggest inspiration, and who would you say is your person to help inspire you?
Well, I think that they are kind of two separate answers I'll give you.
Okay.
In terms of what made me want to become a singer, I have a very musical family. My mother is a singer, my father's a drummer and a percussionist. Both of my grandmothers are entertainers, musically inclined. Everybody in my family seems to be musically inclined. It's kind of a very showbiz family. So I spent a lot of my childhood in studios in Toronto where my parents were recording. And so it was just a very natural environment for me. And when I was about 7 or 8 years old, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there, I was in the studio with my mom. And she was recording a commercial, a jingle. We called them jingles back in the day. I don't know if that's a word that you know, but and they wanted a kid's voice, and they could hear that I was humming the melody. So I went into the studio and I recorded, and that was the beginning of my professional career as a singer. I think I naturally always had a very good sense of pitch and rhythm and overall musicality, probably in my genes. And then, it was nurtured, and I had opportunities to learn how to be a studio musician. So I started working really at a young age. And I also did do a little bit of voiceover work at the time, but not very much. And it wasn't until I was about 18 years old. I don't know if you are familiar with a voice actor named Cal Dodd, but he did a lot of cartoons, a lot of anime. He was the original Wolverine character.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. He's done a lot of work. If you look him up, you'll see just such a huge long list. But he's also a singer. And so my mom worked with him a lot, and I started working with him in a singing capacity. And he said to me at the time, he's like, "Hey, how come you're not doing more voiceover work? You have a great voice. Your musicians are often really good voice actors." And I said, I don't know. I don't really know why I haven't thought about it. So he introduced me to his agent, and his agent was and still is Edna Kubiar and Paul Smith at ETM, Edna Talent Management.
Wow.
So he introduced me to them when I think I was maybe 18, 19, 20 years old, somewhere around there.
Wow.
And they've been my agents ever since.
Wow.
So 25 years.
Wow. The start of the legendary career, in my opinion, of Emilie-Claire Barlow.
Yeah, so thank you, Cal Dodd, because he really he inspired me. He made some introductions, and when I had an interview with them, they didn't take me on right away. What they said was, we'll have like a sort of a trial period. I can't remember, maybe it was 3 months or maybe it was 6 months or something. And they said, we'll start sending you out on auditions and we'll see how it goes. And if it's working out, then we go. So I think I made, like a demo reel, which is something really important that all voice actors or would-be voice actors should have. And one of the very first auditions that I went on was, guess what? Sailor Moon.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think you're a very talented singer and voice actress.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is your favorite voice acting role you portrayed? And if you want, can you do the voice of the character? What's your favorite?
Okay. Well,
Tough.
it's really tough. It's really tough. I want to say Courtney because, it's just been such a luxury and a joy to be able to voice a character for so long.
Yeah.
And also to have the kind of fan base that Total Drama has, and Courtney in particular. And, even the people that don't love Courtney, they sort of love to hate Courtney. It's fun to be sort of like almost a villain in some ways too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't consider her to be a villain, but So because that has been such an ongoing and long-lasting role, I
Mm-hmm.
guess I think I have to say that's my favorite. I really, really love the director the directors we've been working with over the years. I love the other voice actors. I love the writing. But there was another role that I really, really loved too, and that was Bunny from Almost Naked Animals.
Oh yeah.
And I think that the writing was really extraordinary on that show, and it was so wild and wacky, the things that Bunny got to do, and the other characters on the show. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but some of the other voice actors were super, super talented. So it's really hard to choose, but those are definitely up there in my top 5.
It's cool. Yeah, if I remember correctly, one of my good buddies, Krish Potenza, he's in, I think, that show you mentioned, if I remember correctly. The Almost Naked Animals. I think he was in. He played a character. He played a character in that. I remember.
Because it was Rob Tinkler
Mm-hmm.
who played Howie,
Mm-hmm.
and it was David Burney played Duck, Sean Cullen played Narwhal, Stacy DePass. I'm just trying to remember what roles Christian might have been. I mean, and it, also things start to blend together because you work with a lot of the same voice actors. I mean, there's sort of a group of people that were working a lot in those days.
Yeah.
The heydays.
If you wouldn't mind, can you do like some Courtney and some Alice, Alice Bakugan, and some also Sailor Moon, if you wouldn't mind doing all these?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can. Well, Sailor Moon, was, of course, Mars Star Power! And that. When we do a session, at the very beginning of the session, put your headphones on, you've got your script in front of you, and then the director would play you your voice reference. And your voice reference was just a series of lines. It could be just sort of random lines that the character had said, just to get you into the zone. Because it seems kind of like, well, after so many episodes, it would be obvious. But, it was just a habitual thing that we always did. Because at the time, again, there were some actors who were probably working on 5 different shows, right? Who maybe had just come from doing a voice that was completely different. And so they had to just remind you of where your voice is sitting for that character. And so my voice reference for Courtney was Duncan, I just don't like green jelly, okay? I don't remember what episode that was from. I think it was like something from the first season.
Yeah, well, I remember that episode actually.
Yeah. And then Almost Naked Animals, my Bunny voice reference was, and this was referring to Octo, the octopus. Octo, did you just make an inky?
Sorry. That's so cool. I'm sorry. I could like change the different tones and pitches. That's so cool. Sorry.
Thank you. So, but every time I heard that, it made me laugh, and then I would, of course, repeat it just to get in the zone. So, yeah, voice references.
I could see I could hear like hints of Courtney in your voice, like your normal voice. I could hear like
definitely. And it's also been difficult too because I've been doing Total Dramarama, and in Total Dramarama, my Courtney voice is a little bit higher than the original Courtney voice. So I may have just even done it a little bit too high there when I was doing it, because we've been doing Total Dramarama for 3 seasons now. And so I'm just automatically attuned to making my voice a little bit younger than the original Courtney, who was a teenager. And so that's been an interesting exercise too.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to.
Courtney, but younger,
Yeah. I would love to like see Courtney come back, because I don't know if you heard, there's like 2 more seasons I think coming out soon. That'd be cool to see Courtney.
I have heard, all right, and I think it's so amazing, and this is one of the things that I love so much about this community or fandom or whatever you want to call it, is that happened because of the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, really, truly, because this series was done, and I know that when Total Drama Rama was introduced, that there was some fans that were not too happy about that, because they're like, hey, wait a minute, you know, we don't want the younger characters, we want the teenage characters, we want the story to continue. And you know, part of the reason that people are so invested in it is because they are invested in the characters and the storylines and the familiarity of those. So, you know, they want to see, well, how does the story continue? So it will be interesting to see. But when they announced that there was going to be 2 new seasons, I mean, I found out the same time as everybody else, of course, and instantly, you know, over on my TikTok page. By the way, everyone should go follow me on TikTok, because I've done some Courtney Q&As. I do other stuff too, but I do talk about Courtney. And that was the number one question that everybody wanted to know is, are you going to be in the new season? Are you going to be in the new season? And I said, I don't know. You guys will all probably find out before I do. But my understanding is that it's going to be a whole new cast. And all I can do is be so excited for Fresh and the whole team and the fans that are getting a whole brand new season, and maybe hope that Courtney gets to make a guest appearance. Maybe she's a lawyer now and she's all grown up. And she gets to come back and be like a lawyer on the show or something. Would that be cool? That
would be cool, honestly. Like, I don't know if you know too. Like, they already have, they confirmed 2 characters, Chef and Chris. So those are 2 guaranteed characters.
Yeah. So yay for Christian. That's awesome. Yay for both of those characters. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's like my favorite. Believe it or not, my favorite show of all time. So, because I grew up with Total Drama as a kid, and I still love it.
So, how old were you then when the first season aired?
Well, you might think it might be young, but 6 years old.
Okay. Yeah. And so, did you started watching it when it was first out, or?
I liked it. It was very funny, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know if it may have aired in Canada first and then came to the United States. I'm not sure, but because I think it was 2007.
Yeah, you got. Wow. Yeah, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
You got it.
Incredible.
It's crazy how time flies. It goes so quick, you know. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's really wild. I'm excited for the new season. Like I said, and you know, even if I did know more, I wouldn't be allowed to say anything.
Yeah, NDAs.
No, we have to make sure to protect, you know, the way that the creators and the writers want to reveal the season and the characters and the storyline. We have to respect that.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed too, this green shirt, it's kind of green. I don't know if you know, do you notice why I wore this type of green? I don't know if you noticed.
Is that like the color of Courtney's green?
Yep. Wow. Yeah, you know. That's why I wear, you got it. I purposely try to wear like the same colors that, you know, I'm trying to be, no, sorry.
That's awesome. Do you ever go to any of those conventions?
I try to whenever they're here. I can't, obviously, now with the COVID, you can't really see the person, you know, per se. Yeah.
Well, hopefully things will get back to some other normal at some point.
Crazy times, you know, we're in.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite Total Drama character other than Courtney?
Oh my goodness. I mean, and I have said this before, and I think it's not the answer that people want, but I always found Harold to be just so funny.
The beatboxing is funny.
The beatboxing, exactly. The beatboxing scene. And actually, if I remember correctly, we were in the studio together when he did that. And that I think really, see, here's another thing. I'm influenced by my feelings for the actors too. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really difficult for me to separate
With
the
their emotion.
actor and my experience of working on the show to the just solely the characters. So most of the time, you know, when you do these kinds of shows, well, it really depends on the show, but sometimes you record by yourself, and you just read your lines, and then you're gone. But then, whenever possible, they would love to have several of us in there together, because you know the energy is really great. Being able to feed off of each other's energy, and you know, really get into the context of where you are in the scene and in the conversation. It helps so much, but it also takes a lot longer, and it's a lot of work for them to coordinate all of these very busy actors' schedules. But I have some really great memories of us recording some episodes together when we were able to have, you know, Christian Potenza, Brian Froud, Scott McCord, you know, all of these people in the room together. And the trickiest part would be making sure not to laugh and ruin someone's take. Because even though we would be all on our own mics, you know, the mics can still pick up the sound in the room. So watching Brian Froud, who was playing Harold, do the beatboxing thing was just beyond hilarious. And I just loved the voice that he created for that character. I loved the animation for that character. Owen was another great character. And again, I think it's tied to the fact that I love Scott. And I got to work a lot with Scott. So I guess those are my answers right there.
Okay.
It was fun when we had, because there were so many characters, sometimes you might find yourself with only a few lines in an episode because, you know, the storyline was focusing on a different character. But I really loved the opportunities when the script would really focus, of course, on the Courtney and Duncan relationship. And I remember specifically that in some of the most, what I think are heartfelt moments between Duncan and Courtney, we got to do those scenes together in the studio. And I loved working with Drew. Drew is amazing. He's so funny. He's such a great actor. He's so nice. And that was an opportunity that I think also we got to see a real softer side of Courtney, you know, which you didn't get to see too often. And I got to stretch out a little bit in terms of being an actor. And we got to do those scenes together. And that was a highlight for me in the whole series.
Now, do you have a favorite total drama season? I think I might know what your favorite total drama season is.
I bet you do.
Is it World Tour because you love singing?
Yes. Yeah. You know, I think that the first season was really fun because none of us knew anything about this show. You know, it was a new show. We liked the concept of it. I specifically loved the concept of it because I was a huge fan of Survivor. I still am.
Nice.
Still watch it. Season 41 is happening right now. So me being a huge fan of Survivor, loved the concept. Of course, what none of us liked about the concept was the fact that at any time we could get eliminated from the show. You know, so you go through the process of auditioning, you get a call back. You might be in for consideration for a role. You get the role. I'm in a new show, and then imagine the first episode, and you're eliminated. I mean,
that'd be bad.
You have to have a thick skin. So I loved the first season because it was just exciting. We were working on a new show, and every session you'd get the script and you'd flip immediately to the back page to see who was eliminated. And then it wasn't you. It was like, okay, I'm living to see another day. So that was a fun season. But then, the World Tour season was the most fun for me because, I got to incorporate a lot of singing in that season. And there were a whole bunch of different styles of music, which was really cool too. And But I think the Courtney character sang for the first time in a different season, though. My prince will be king.
Season 2.
That was season 2.
Total drama.
Total drama action. So she got to sing, and I remember that I was reading the script, and this scene comes along where I'm singing, and I realized that I hadn't talked to the directors or the creators about whether or not Courtney is a good singer. And they're like, well, we know that you're a professional singer, but do we want Courtney to be a good singer? Maybe Courtney's not a good singer. It could be really funny if she was a terrible singer. That was going to be very fun for me. But they said, no. We want Courtney to be a good singer, to have a pretty voice. So I said, okay. So that was the first time I got to sing.
Wow.
And then of course, world tour. You never knew what was coming at you from episode to episode, what style of music. And there was like Broadway, there was sort of rock and roll, there was, pop. It was really, that was really fun for me to be able to combine those two things.
That one song was funny when you were saying that boyfriend kisser, I think if I remember correctly, when Glenn, that was funny.
I need to refresh my memory of how that goes, because I have had a lot of requests on TikTok for me to do like a new version of that song. So I admit that I cannot remember totally how it goes. So I have to refresh my memory.
It was years ago. I understand. I can't remember things years ago too, so I understand.
But also, you go into the session and you learn it really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And you sing it and then you leave. And then later that day, if somebody said, can you sing that song? You'll say, this is actually a weird phenomenon that happened to me when I was singing jingles as well. You'd sing it 20 times in a row, so they get it just right. And you'd leave, and later that night, you couldn't even remember a note of it. Then the next day or the day after, it would be running around in my head nonstop, like haunting me. But now, of course, that was so long ago, and I certainly haven't gone back and watched all of the episodes like all of the fans have. So I probably need to do that.
All good. Yeah, then maybe have like a cameo appearance by Megan.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Boyfriend kisser, I thought she was my friend, but now it's time to diss her. Sure, we had some fun times, but I'm not gonna miss her now. Boyfriend kisser, you're gonna get what's coming to you if it's the last thing I ever do. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Let's go a little back. We captured Duncan in a sack and had a laugh attack when you stretched me on the rack. All those times you made me smile, you wanted my man all the while. Duh! It was so obvious. Boyfriend kisser, you're not my new sister. You're a pussy, gothy, nasty blister. Boyfriend kisser, you're gonna get what's coming to you if it's the last thing I ever do.
Okay, now my mom really liked this question. If you were really on an island, what 3 famous people, dead or alive, would you bring with you?
That is so difficult. They have to be famous people. Yeah, I guess I can't say my boyfriend, although he's kind of famous. Okay, who would I bring? Okay, well, my very favorite singer right now is Sarah Bareilles.
Okay, I know she is.
And she's got a very successful career as a singer-songwriter. She also wrote all the music for the musical Waitress, which I just saw in New York City, and it's amazing. I would love to pass the time with her because we could sing. I could sing harmony to all her songs. We could sing together. Who else would be fun? This is such a tricky question. Probably like a comedian, somebody like Amy Schumer, because I think she'd be really fun to have around. And it's always good to have somebody around that has a great sense of humor, make people laugh. And let me see, who else? Who else would be good? This is such a tricky question.
I have one for you that I think you might like.
Okay, I'm open to suggestions.
Okay. Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, that would be absolutely incredible. You know, if I went all musicians, I could easily do it. I just thought I would just maybe pick somebody from the music world, somebody from the comedian world, somebody who knows how to build a shelter. Probably, you know who would be good? Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise seems to know how to do everything. He can fly a helicopter. He could. So there's my three: Sarah Bareilles, Amy Schumer, and Tom Cruise. But no, of course. I mean, if I were to choose three musicians, I mean, it would be very hard to narrow it down. Ella Fitzgerald is listed everywhere in my Wikipedia page as a huge influence to me, because she was, when I first started out and I was in jazz program at Humber College in Toronto, and when my parents played music around the house, we listened to a lot of different kinds of music, but there was definitely a lot of jazz and a lot of Ella. And so I learned to emulate her, copy her. I mean, she's the queen of of improvising and scat singing, and really using her voice as an instrument. And so part of my learning, part of my development as a jazz singer was to listen to her and copy everything she did. It helped to build my instrument in terms of control and facility, and also seeing how much she truly emulated like a horn section in the big band context was a very good tool for me to have as I started to develop my own voice. So she's definitely a big influence, and I got to see her live. Believe it or not,
Wow.
I was pretty young. I think I was maybe 10 years old.
Wow.
And she was playing at a theater in Toronto, and my mom took me.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and she was pretty old at the time, and she'd already started having some problems with her vision, and she needed to be helped out on stage. And then she was sitting there, and then once she was in her spot and the band started, she just blew the roof off of the place. It was incredible.
Oh, that's awesome. And if I ever get that I'm probably butchering it, Bareilles.
Bareilles, yeah.
Yes. If I ever get her on, I'll let you know. If you want to join, feel free.
I'll be there.
I got you.
She's really funny too. She seems like a really nice person.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a normal, down to earth, nice person. And she's an incredible lyricist and really an incredible singer. The control that she has and the choices that she makes as a vocalist, really, really good.
Okay, so if I ever get her, maybe you guys could jam out, sing. Okay.
There might be a little lag in the Skype, but
that'd be cool. Okay. Is there any role you want to do that you haven't done yet, but you want to do? A certain role?
Like an existing role?
Yeah, do you want to be like a superhero, supervillain? Do you want to be in a sci-fi? So.
Interesting. Yeah, it would be pretty fun to play a villain. I haven't really. I think I did a couple of anime jobs where I got to play a villain, but they were just sort of like a one, like a guest spot. Mm-hmm. Although it's hard on the throat.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard on the throat to do. I remember back in the Bakugan days, actually, some of the other characters, specifically some of the male characters that played villains, when they would leave the booth, their voice would just be raw and really, really hard on the vocal cords. So I don't know. I'm going to rethink that. I don't know. I always kind of like when I'm cast in a role where the character is like an animal. I just always think that's so fun.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, it's sometimes you can't even really imagine a role until you get an audition. You have an audition in front of you,
Mm.
and then it's like you're being asked to audition for. Uh, and this is a role that I ended up doing, but it was a clarinet playing skunk named Chanel. Well, I just couldn't have even imagined that I would want to play that role until I knew that it existed.
Wow. Okay. Now, over the years of your career, do you still keep in touch with co-stars and people like directors you worked with? Do you still keep in touch? People you look.
Yeah, I think through social media is probably the main way that I keep in touch with directors and other actors. And it's sort of mostly just commenting on each other's posts or liking each other's posts. And I like it because it sort of just gives you a little insight as to what they're doing in their lives. Of course, it doesn't give the whole picture. We all know that, but it's nice to know what they're up to, what jobs they're doing. And, like I said, I spend a fair bit of time in Mexico too. So that physically takes me away from the Toronto scene. But I've stayed in touch with a lot of the actors.
If you didn't go into like music or voice acting or acting, what do you think you would have done as a career? Or what other interests and hobbies do you have besides those?
If I didn't go into voice acting or music, what would I have done?
Yes.
I think there was a time when I thought that I might like to be a teacher. The only job that I've ever had that's not being a singer or voice actor or record company person is when I taught at a music school. And that was for a few years, starting after high school and through my college years, Merriam School of Music just outside of Toronto. And I taught little kids, like I taught piano and voice to kids that were starting as young as 3.
Wow.
And I loved the 3, 4, 5, 6 year olds. They were so cute. So I, for a while, thought, okay, that could be something that I might want to do. Now, when I think about it, I think if I were to pursue an entirely different career, I might like to go to culinary school and train to be a chef.
Wow. That's pretty
I don't
neat.
know that I would be able to actually handle or enjoy the stress of actually working in a kitchen or opening a restaurant, because I think that's an extremely stressful position to be in. But in my sort of dream world, I go to culinary school.
So, Chef Emily?
That's right.
Like that. Okay. Now, favorite food and favorite sports?
Well, I like a lot of different foods. Spending so much time in Mexico, I love Mexican food. Enchiladas, tacos. There's so much interesting food in the state of Oaxaca, which is where I am right now. It has some very specific street foods. For example, one is a tlayuda, and it's Tlayuda, tlayuda. It's kind of like the Oaxacan version of pizza in a way. It's like a large corn tortilla. And you put like refried beans on there and cabbage and maybe a meat of some kind, and then they cook it over a flame. And sometimes they serve it open face, and sometimes they fold it in half, and it's pretty tasty. But I also love Italian food. I traveled to Italy for the first time a few years ago and tasted so much incredible food there, as you can imagine. Fresh pastas. One of the dishes that I really liked, which I found out was a traditional dish in Sicily, is called caponata. And it's eggplant, and sometimes it's got onions and peppers, olives, capers, and then they do a sweet and a sour. So they do vinegar and honey. And it's kind of like a ratatouille in a way. It's like sort of stewed vegetables. And so we tried caponata in all the different restaurants there, and I loved that. I loved making that. Those are some of my favorite foods. Sports. I would say my favorite sport to watch would be tennis.
Tennis.
I used to be really into tennis. I was taking lessons for a little while, not very long, just a few years, and I used to watch a lot of tennis.
Wow.
Watch all the Grand Slams. I haven't so much anymore, but that's probably my favorite sport to watch.
Wow. Now, do you have any projects in the works that are coming up? Any project?
Yeah, I am working on a new album. It probably won't be coming out for a little while, but I'm working on it. My label, Empress Music Group, has a couple of artists that we're working with now, and one of those artists is Amanda Tosoff, and she's a piano player and a composer, and she also played in my band. She does play in my band, but she is a solo artist, and she released an album earlier this year called Earth Voices, and she took poetry and she wrote music to the poetry, and then she got 7 different vocalists to sing. She's actually not a singer herself, but she's a piano player, composer, arranger. And so that album came out, and it's really, really beautiful. So it's called Earth Voices. I'm singing 2 tracks on that album, the first one and the last one. And I also have been working with an artist named David Blaemeyers, and he used to tour with Pat Metheny, guitarist Pat Metheny, but he's also got a solo career, and he is releasing an album that's coming out a week from today. So it's coming out on October 29th, and the album is called Absolute Drivel, and it is a funny music album. It's like a musical comedy album. It's kind of in the category of like Flight of the Conchords. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's very quirky and it's very funny, and there's some bad language in there too. Be warned. Track number 2, it has the F word in it many times. There's a song called God of Potatoes. It's really funny. So Absolute Drivel is coming out next Friday, but on the 29th, but you can pre-save it. The links are all on the Empress Music Group website. So those are some of the things that I've been working on, is helping to promote these artists and work with them. And yeah, I think that's kind of the main stuff that's been going on.
Wow, I like that. Now, what is your advice for younger kids or people in general who become a voice actress and musician? What's your advice?
My advice would be that it's really important to be proactive.
Okay.
To not wait around for something to happen or for somebody to invite you. You be the person that starts the band. You be the person that starts the project and gets other people involved. It's really, really important. I think it's also important to be flexible, adaptable, and versatile, and open to how these industries grow and change and shift all the time with new technologies. Important to be able to adapt to that and learn and grow, and find other people that have similar interests to you. Get involved in those communities. I have told this before, I know, but when I was in my first year of college at Humber College, and I was taking voice, I was taking arranging and musical theory, and I went into my arranging class, and my teacher, who's a bass player, Shelley Berger, he first thing he said to the class was, "So, who's got some gigs? Who's got some shows?" And everybody was kind of looking around, and nobody was really. And he's like, "Hey guys, how come you don't have any shows booked? Get out there, put a band together, talk to the club owners, start getting people together to rehearse original music that you're writing, whatever it is. Get out there and do it. You know.
Mhm.
He said, "Hey, invite me out to play on a gig. I will."
Oh.
And so he really kind of lit a fire in me to
Uh-huh.
stop waiting for somebody, whatever you think that's going to be, whether it's like a record company or an agent or a manager.
Mhm.
It's a waste of time to just sit around waiting. So being proactive is probably my best advice.
Wow.
You know, and learning as much as you can about every aspect of the business. Because, you know, you might find that, you know, you think that you want to be a voice actor,
Mhm.
but maybe maybe it's going to turn out that you're a really good writer
Mhm.
or director.
Mhm.
You don't know, right? Maybe it turns out that you actually might be fascinated in the animation itself.
Mhm.
So being open to exploring other avenues within the business that you're interested in.
I like to also like stay humble and like remember you came from. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, don't assume anything. You know, I mean, anything can happen. You know, if you were talking specifically about the voiceover business,
Yeah.
I have had situations where I was, you know, where the show decides that they're just completely going to recast everybody,
Wow.
and you thought that you had the role, and now you don't anymore.
Mhm.
And another example would be, well, this is a similar example, and I think this information is widely out there. So when I auditioned for Total Drama, I auditioned for several roles. I auditioned for Heather, for Bridget.
Wow.
I don't even remember. I auditioned for as many as they would let me audition for.
Mhm.
And I didn't get any.
Wow.
Didn't get any of them. And they cast someone else, that's Courtney, and they recorded the first episode, and I was bummed that I didn't get any role.
Mhm.
And I don't know what happened. I don't know why, but the actress that they cast for Courtney, they ended up not using her past the first episode or two episodes. I got a call. They want you to come in as Courtney.
Wow.
And my first feeling was I felt so bad for her. Now, I'm making an assumption there. Maybe she didn't want the part. Maybe she had to go film a movie. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it could also be that they changed their mind. And part of the reason why they might change their mind could have nothing to do with a person's ability as a voice actor. It could be, you know, these two voices sound too much alike. And I don't know if this person has the flexibility to change that. I mean, we want to recast it, whatever it might be.
Wow.
I didn't have the role, and then I had the role. And so I was always completely aware that it could also be taken away from me at any time.
Mhm.
And that does help you to stay humble.
Is there any questions you have before asking my last question? Do you have any questions?
Um, what's your favorite current animation show?
Ooh, current, like still running, like it's still.
Yeah.
Ooh. Trying to think. Well, current if it's still running, Total Dramarama. It's still running. Does that count?
Sure.
Dramarama. Let's say.
So you watched Total Drama Rama,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
you liked it.
It's pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah.
It. Yeah.
Well, I'm
Good.
glad to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to see like the younger versions too of the characters. Like it's different, you know. In a
I
way.
think they're so cute.
Yeah. My little sister like loves Courtney too. Like she loves her like little Courtney voice. She thinks it's so cute too.
Awesome. Yay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other questions or?
Well, not that I can think of.
All good. All good. Okay. Well, Emily, is there anything you would like to promote and shout out? Like I'll link down below in the video's description to help you out with.
Yeah, I can be found on all of the social medias. Well,
Okay.
not Twitter. I'm done with Twitter. um, so you can find me on TikTok, and it's just my name, Emilie-Claire Barlow, and Emily is spelled I-E instead of a Y. And so I'm on there. I'm on Instagram, and I'm pretty active on those two platforms. And so come and follow me there and send me a message.
Gotcha. I'll say follow Emily here on Instagram. Follow Emily here on TikTok. I got you. Help you out. You know. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, and Emily, for being an awesome and amazing guest. Thank you. Yeah. Have a great day, everybody, and stay awesome. And you stay awesome, Emily.
Thank you. You too.